So hello and welcome to a new edition of UMI Borough with myself, Scott Wilson and Dom Shaw. Hope you're all well. Hope you had a good weekend. I'm pretty sure you'll have enjoyed Friday night and everything that happened at Ewood Park. We'll touch on that. We'll obviously throw it ahead to what is going to be a massive night tomorrow night at the Riverside. We're recording this on Monday morning, obviously Tuesday night, Borough Leeds at the Riverside. And we'll obviously have a chat about where we're at in terms of promotion and the playoffs and all of that. Dom, you were at Ewood Park on Friday, so let's start there. Another good result. They're doing everything they need to do.
Yeah, everything we hoped for, really, weren't we? You messaged me at half time to say, did you say 2-0 up at half time with Tommy Conway getting the first
goal? The old 4-1 was coming.
Yeah, it didn't quite work out to plan, but you'd have accepted that before the game. Michael Carrick would have certainly have accepted that before the game. We talked about the importance of the first goal, and Carrick was asked about that afterwards and kind of played down again, but with a knowing smile. And I thought, yeah, you're in on it there.
Yeah.
It just felt like exactly the type of performance and win. No nonsense, I think, no fuss.
Yeah.
That Borough haven't had enough of this season and really needed on Friday night. And it just all adds to that momentum and, dare I say, belief.
Oh, yeah, I think so. I mean, the top one, Borough second in the form table at the minute. I mean, since that Swansea game, which felt like a low point, felt like it might have been the end, let's be absolutely honest, in terms of promotion. I mean, since then, you've got to give a lot of credit to Michael Carrick in the place. I mean, has much changed, do you think? Or is it just a case of, A, probably the fixtures have dropped quite kindly for them, and B, they're really just kind of winning games that they were losing earlier in the season without necessarily playing a whole lot better or different? Is that fair or is that unfair?
I think there's a few factors, really. I mean, first of all, clearly, this is not down to one player, but I just don't think you can stress enough the importance of Jonny Howson.
Yeah.
And just his calm head. What have Borough conceded now? 2 goals in 4 games. Now, this is a team that have been too charitable at the back all season, haven't they?
Yeah.
And that game on Friday night, had it come earlier in the season, I mean, Blackburn were poor, and we'll get to the fact in a minute that Borough have played poor teams and are going to get bigger tests. But earlier in the season, you'd have seen Borough conceding a goal in the first 15, 20 minutes of the second half to Blackburn and giving a team that should have had no hope, a little bit of hope. I don't think you can stress enough the importance of Howson's return and his form. Further forward, Tommy Conway, fine goal at the weekend. On Friday night again. The way Carrick's currently got his team set up with Ilin Jr. on the left, as I was playing on the left and tucking in. Well, I think that's reminiscent of Giles and McGree a couple of seasons ago. Hackney and Morris are playing well. You've got defenders in form like Howson, Borges, Vandenberg is back now. I think there's a few factors there, and just. Maybe Carrick talked last week about learning the lessons from earlier in the season. Well, maybe they have. Maybe they have learned the lessons of the importance of just showing a bit of maturity and managing games through.
I mean, Howson's an interesting one, isn't it? Because, I think clearly he's not played a lot of football this season. Clearly he's had a struggle to get himself fit. But I mean, like you say, questions of, is there still a role for Jonny Howson at this football club? Which I think would have been fair to ask a month or 2 months ago. Well, goodness me, they've been answered, haven't they? I mean, like you say, to step in and do what he's done at the age of 37. But if that kind of leadership and just nous that Borough have lacked at times this season, isn't it?
Yeah, and to think he's playing out of position. I mean, you said there about the questions about his role. Well, I think the questions changed now. We put this to Carrick on Friday night. You've got Edmondson and Fry expected back in the next week or so. But how on earth do you leave Howson out? A week down the line, if Edmondson and Fry are fully fit, I don't think he can take Howson out and put one of them in at centre-half. I think it has to be Howson, and it'll be Vandenberg, won't it? Now Borges picked up that injury, and we'll obviously hopefully find out more about that this afternoon. Carrick obviously didn't know when we asked him on Friday night. It had just happened. That's a major blow, isn't it? For him, really.
For him, yeah.
And for Borough, because he's been playing so well. I mean, the Borough fans were singing his name. There was a Brazil flag held aloft in the away end. Imagine if you'd been told that, 2-3 months ago? But yeah, Howson plays, doesn't he? And I think he has to stay in. And on the current form, I don't see how you can't offer him another contract.
Yeah. Yeah. And then at the other end of the pitch, you mentioned it there, Tommy Conway. I mean, you know, I think you raised the question, is Conway just about the best forward there is in the Championship? It's starting to look like, I mean, you know, clearly there were question marks when Latalath left, you know, who were Borough going to bring in, what were they going to do now, what were they going to do in the summer? Well, I mean, in Conway, it feels like they've got their centre forward, doesn't it?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, that thing there about whether he's the best centre forward in the Championship, he's undoubtedly in the conversation, isn't he? Only 4 players have scored more this season. Only 2 of those are centre forwards. And he's missed 10 games for Borough.
Yeah.
I don't think Borough would swap Tommy Conway for any striker in the division right now. And it's not just that. I mean, he started the game on Friday night scoring after, 79 seconds. And then in first half stoppage time, he's tear-assing back to cut out a Blackburn cross in his own half. We see just from the snippets we get from the club's social media team and stuff, just how big a character he is behind the scenes, don't we? He's, Carrick had basically described him as a bit of a nuisance behind the scenes, but in absolutely a positive sense. And that's exactly what he's like on the pitch as well, isn't it? And Borough, touchwood, Borough got him fit. Let's hope he stays fit, because when you run through the Borough team and you pick out the absolute nailed-on certainty starters, Hackney, Morris, Dykesteel at the minute, obviously the keeper, the defence we've touched on, well, Conway, absolutely, undoubtedly. Partly because there's no one else. You know, you're not going to play Iheanacho up front, but you have got players who can play there. Force, Bergsorg, Iheanacho can all play up front. Conway he's class, isn't he? As Carrick said on Friday night, he's quality.
So let's have a look then at where we're at. We'll speak specifically about the Leeds game in a bit, but let's just look at the general state of play. I think we felt it for a long time. I think we can safely say that the top 4 are away and gone. There's obviously a 15-point gap between Sunderland in 4th and Borough in 5th. So 6 games left to play. Borough 5th, 60 points. Bristol City 6th, 60 points. Coventry 7th, who we felt were home and hosed a little while ago, not looking so much now, 7th, 59 points. West Brom 8th, 57. Millwall 9th, 54. Watford 10th, 53. So Borough clearly have got themselves into a fantastic position. They obviously play Leeds tomorrow night, and the interesting thing is at Ashton Gate, it is Bristol City, West Brom. So it feels like it's going to be another really big night in this promotion race, doesn't it? But I mean, what do you feel about where Borough are at the minute?
Had you been told after that Swansea game that was 6 games to play, Borough be back up to 5th, I just don't think you'd have believed it. That was not a realistic.
Well, I'm just looking here, and after Swansea, Borough were 10th.
Right.
After Bristol City, which, let's be honest, was February the 22nd. So you're only talking a month and a half ago. Borough were 13th after that game.
And what we were saying before the weekend, we were asking, weren't we, is it 2 from 4 now? Well, I absolutely think it is, because although Millwall are only 6 points back, there's only 6 games to play now. They're at Sheffield United tomorrow night. They're at Burnley on the last day of the season. Obviously, Borough there at the weekend. With those games to come, I just cannot see Millwall stringing the wins together. So I think it's 2 from 4. West Brom have lost a couple on the bounce now. Coventry have lost a couple on the bounce now. It's funny how Borough just are the team with the momentum all at once, and the team that you probably class of all those sides as a favourites. But I do think, just to go back, this is taking nothing away from Borough and what they've achieved over the course of the last month or so. But they have had a kind run of fixtures. Now, these are the type of games that Borough weren't winning earlier in the season. Yeah. So again, credit to them, absolutely. But I think now, tomorrow and Saturday will tell us even more about Borough. Borough are right back there in the conversation now. And are the favourites all at once to get in the top 6 when you look at those teams? I think you could easily make the case to say they are. But I think Leeds tomorrow night and Millwall on Saturday will tell us more, won't it?
It will. No, it absolutely will. So Leeds tomorrow night. Now, Leeds, their last 6 games, home draw with West Brom, loss at Portsmouth, home win over Millwall, draw at QPR, draw at home to Swansea, draw away at Luton. So while they've only lost one of their last 6, they've only won one of their last 6. And we all know the baggage that there is with Leeds, the pressures at that football club, if you like, the circus that goes around that football club. I mean, massive night for Borough tomorrow, massive night for Leeds as well. I mean, it's a big old game.
Yeah, it is. And I thought Daniel Farke's comments at the weekend were really interesting after the 1-1 draw with Luton, because what you'd say there before we get into those comments, that is not a bad run of fixtures at all. We talked about Borough's kind run. Well, that's a kind run as well that Leeds have had. Swansea home, QPR away, Millwall home, Portsmouth away. All right, Portsmouth a decent home, but still, if you're going to win the championship title, you'd expect to go there and win. Farke said at the weekend that he's still convinced Leeds will go up. But he talked about, let me just find it. I'm not fearful. Why do you think it's been so difficult to go up once in the last 25 years? Yes, we play for an emotional club, but if we feel sorry for ourselves, that's why it keeps the nerves. You have to stay strong and not be a flag in the wind and get nervous. And then there's one more line. If you think it's easy to get promoted with Leeds, then sorry, you're at the wrong club. I'm not nervous, but I'm not nervous at all. Oh.
Yeah.
It should be.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I understand why he did it, because Mellier's made a whole host of problems, but just changing your keeper at this stage of the season, it feels a little bit like, let's throw these balls up and just hope they land down kindly for us, doesn't it? Like, I hesitate to say a good time to play them, because it's not. It's a big old game. But I think there's other times this season where Borough could have been playing Leeds and Leeds would have been in a much better state than they're in now. I think that's very fair to say. So, it feels like a chance for Borough.
It does. And like, clearly the pressure is never off when you're Borough at home to Leeds United in a game at the top of the championship. It's always a massive game, but it feels like it's Leeds who the pressure is truly on, doesn't it? Especially after Borough's recent results. Like you say, it does feel like an opportunity for Borough, really. Now, Leeds came to the Riverside at a similar stage last season.
Time, yeah, I was just going to say that.
And won, and was it their only win in the last 6 or something like that when they won at the Riverside? But yeah, I don't know. I have a decent feeling for Borough. I don't think this Leeds team's as good as last season's. Do you?
No, I don't. I don't think they've got the individual match winners necessarily that they had. And they're just not in great form at the minute, are they, as we've seen from that run? I mean, that game last season was a basketball game, wasn't it, really, by the end? It was we score, you score, end to end. By the end, defending had gone completely out the window. That feels like an outlier in Michael Carrick's Borough, doesn't it? Full stop. I mean, I don't envisage that in any way, shape or form, Carrick will want tomorrow's game to be anything like that, because that's just not him. And that's, his Borough are at the best when they're controlling things, aren't they? Well, that wasn't the case last year. It got away from them. They played well in matches in that game, but the game as a whole got away from them.
What you'd say as well for Borough is if this game's a couple of weeks ago, then the Riverside isn't shaky, but it's flat.
Yeah.
There was no belief. There was no momentum. The overriding feeling was frustration. It's different now, isn't it? Because of the wins, because of the fact, yes, it was away on Friday night, but it was on telly. So it's got eyeballs on it. It would come from behind win against Oxford beforehand. And the fact that Leeds are coming in the form they are, Borough fans will be relishing it, won't it? I bet it's a belting atmosphere. What do you think about we were having this conversation there on Friday. Obviously, Borges went off. Vandenberg's back. Had Borges been fit, if he's fit, I don't think he's going to be, but if he's fit, do you think there's any chance that Carrick could have gone to a back 3? I don't, because of what we said last week. It's so unlike Carrick, and for a game like this. But what do you reckon?
I don't think he would. Until Michael Carrick does that for a big game, until I see evidence that he's prepared to do it, my default setting will be that he just wouldn't do it. I think it's very un-Carrick-like to make that big a change. You know, he's always said, hasn't he? Yes, we tweak little things for individual games. We actually change more than you realise. Yeah, that's fine. But that kind of major fundamental change, the way he's setting his team up, I just don't see it. No, I think it would have been picking one of Borges or Vandenberg. Now, like you say, we'll hopefully find out a little bit more today, but it feels like Borges is going to have to have made a pretty miraculous recovery in a very short space of time to be starting on Tuesday night. So it feels like it's going to be Vandenberg and Howson.
And like you say there, not only has he not made, and I know he's thinking, you know, was it Leicester away last year where he
Yes.
made the change, but it doesn't do it, does he? It tends to stick, and not especially not when his side are in such good form.
Well, that's what I was going to say. You know,
if you do that and you lose, then suddenly you've left yourself open to
and you know, we're building here to hopefully a playoff campaign. Well, Michael Carrick is not going to be playing 3 at the back in the playoffs, is he? So exactly. I think you've just got to try and keep the momentum going and clearly get the wins that you need. So I'd be amazed. I mean, it's like you say, he probably hasn't got the personnel to do it now anyway. But even if he had, I wouldn't have seen that.
We did it a few weeks ago. We won't do this every week, but we did it a few weeks ago. Now with 6 games to go and with the picture having changed a bit, what would be your top 6 prediction now?
Oh, I've been saying Leeds are going to win the league all the time. I don't think they will now. As we sit here right now, I think Burnley win the league.
Right.
I still think Leeds finish second. I still think Leeds will get there. So I've got Sheffield United 3rd and Sunderland 4th. Bristol City are the team that keeps surprising me. They're the team that I kind of have not really had on my radar, but they're on a real run now, and they seem pretty unbeatable at Ashton Gate. Coventry, who I think we both have said looked nailed on, and now the ones having a real wobble. And then Borough are the team with momentum. I'll go Bristol City 5, Borough 6, Coventry missing out.
I'm the same, I think, but I think Leeds might finish 3rd. Right. I think Sheffield United might finish 2nd. Although, have you seen Wilder's blast today?
Yeah, I have. Yeah, about the fans. Yeah,
that's quite the.
But you've got Bristol City and Borough as 5 and 6.
Yeah, it's Bristol City's home form, and we looked at the fixtures last week, didn't we? And they are good at home. Still got to play Sunderland at home, and they've got one other, haven't they?
They play Sunderland at home on Good Friday, don't they? Which
I
know Sunderland obviously had that very good win at West Brom. Did Borough a massive favour, actually, didn't they? Let's be honest, by beating Mowbray and West Brom. But feels like that Good Friday game, Bristol City would have an awful lot more to play for than Sunderland.
And just Borough's fixtures running across the bottom there. Well, Sheffield Wednesday away, that a couple of weeks ago you might have looked at and thought, oh, well, suddenly now there's all sorts going on behind the scenes there, and they're going to be out of it by then. Yeah. Norwich home, they're out.
Norwich home as the last home game feels probably as inviting as you're going to get, isn't it? Norwich are going to be out of the equation, almost certainly. And not just out of the equation, but out of the equation having failed to live up to the expectations that were placed on them. So, yeah, it feels like a pretty decent run of games, although that Coventry away game on the last game of the season, I mean, that really could be make or break, couldn't it?
What do you reckon tomorrow night, then?
What do I reckon tomorrow night? 1-1.
Yeah, that was going to be mine.
1-1. I think it'll be an awful lot tighter than last year's game. I think it'll be cagey. I think it'll be edgy. It might even be 0-0. I don't think it's going to be massively kind of free flowing. And I think, both teams need to win, but they also need to not lose, if you know what I mean. And I just wonder if come the second half, if it is tight and level, then actually, I'm not saying that they'll stop playing, but if it will be like, well, we defend what we've got as the main priority. Yeah, I think tight. I think 1-1.
I'm going 1-1. I'm going 1-1, and I think that's a decent result for Borough, a draw.
Yeah.
Because it just keeps you ticking over.
I think Borough take the lead. I think Borough score the opener. I think 0-0 at half-time, and then Conway 56. But then Leeds equalise in about 72. And then they kind of play out the last 10 minutes, hanging on to what they've got, both teams, to a degree. That's my prediction.
What you would say, just to wrap up, if Borough can win that, then what a springboard. I know I've said that and written that far too much this season, but just because of everything that's the feel-good factor around, the boost, you know, having the run that they're on, clearly how the table's going to look, and the fact that West Brom and Bristol City...
Well, that's just what I was going to say. I mean, it absolutely will be. And, you know, if Borough win and Bristol City win, then all of a sudden with 5 games to go, there's a little bit of a gap then. And you're thinking, well, you know... listen,
Coventry on the Portsmouth.
There's a lot has to happen then. But yeah, I mean, I know Borough at home, so you know, and I know at the minute a win would be absolutely massive for them. But I think it's a game tomorrow where if you take anything, it's a pretty decent result. Even the run Leeds are on and everything around it. I think any kind win or a draw means that to a degree at least your momentum's still really going. You're going to be on a high. You're going to be still in the top 6. Yeah, I don't think a draw is a bad result for Borough tomorrow.
Well, you're there tomorrow. I'm at Rockcliffe this afternoon, so keep your eyes peeled this afternoon for the latest from Michael Carrick ahead of the game. Obviously, we'll get an update by the time you're watching this. You might well have seen it, but we'll get an update from Carrick on Neto Borges. Hopefully, good news there, but let's see. And then, yeah, Scott's at the Riverside tomorrow night for what is a big game for both teams at the top of the championship. Do subscribe to the channel if you're watching on YouTube. Get the Troy division on. It came on yesterday. Actually, I was driving up Ormsby Bank and it came on. I thought, this could be apt. Did you see the clip that went viral at the end of last year when I think it was Absolute Radio and someone had put a request in for
Yes, I did. Yeah, brilliant.
Brilliant. Yeah. So. Let's see. It'll get an airing. It'll get an airing at full time.
You'd be disappointed if it didn't. Yeah, you'd be disappointed if it didn't.
Well, enjoy the game if you're there. Subscribe to the channel on YouTube if you haven't already. Just press the button below the screen, and if you're listening on your podcast platforms, then rate and review there as well. Thanks as ever. Thanks again, by the way. We mentioned it a couple of weeks ago to Frank Foster, who's been doing some producing for us on the podcast side of things, which has made a massive difference. He can do things that we absolutely can't. So that's made a big difference there. Enjoy the game tomorrow night. It is open for another win and another good night for the Borough. Take care.